Observation is a key tool in the writer's box of tricks. Storytelling is what we do, the most ancient of communicating arts. I imagine that cave people sat around the recently discovered fire and told tales of the big mammoth hunt. As those storytellers did, we pull our tales from many things, not rampaging mammoths, but other things, from our experiences and from observations that sink into our consciousness. Does that make us a writer, or does that make us a spy? Both? Hello and welcome back to my writing journey. I'm Ellen Byerrum, a former Washington, D.C. reporter and author of books and various plays and short stories. Like you, I'm working to finish another book right now, and it will be the sequel to my Art Deco mystery Crook Tales for Two. In these videos, I comment on writing, news about the industry, and some other issues that occur to me. If that sounds of interest to you, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and give this video a like. And ring the bell to be notified of new videos every week. To bring a book to life, you have to rely on your senses and how they can be used to set a scene, to describe characters, to recall a conversation, to recreate a perfect day. We have our thoughts. We also have our observations, our experiences. If we observe something long enough, it becomes our experience and reveals how we or our characters feel. Writers aren't necessarily snoops. Maybe we are. We're simply interested in what's happening around us and in the world. How can you come up with a great character if you never meet one? And think about people every day who don't recognize things, who skipped over what was happening in the road. Observing and digesting what you see, feel, and hear is a talent, and it comes from our senses. Description is the expression of the who, what, where, when, why, and how of our stories. These days, a lot of books skimp on description, so we don't experience the tale as we might want. And by the way, I hate books that don't tell me what the characters look like. Are they tall? Are they short? Do they have problems with doors? I've read thrillers where description is a lost art. Nothing is described except the artillery, the guns, the bullets, the distance from the victim, the use of a telescopic sight, and the impact on the body. However, we don't get a hint of how the main character feels about anything, except the plot demands that he jump up like a jackrabbit to the next bloody scene, even if he's been wounded or shot, he's injured. Well, maybe he pauses to reload, maybe he doesn't. His car never seems to need gas, he never gets cut off on the highway. He is the Energizer Bunny of prose. Your book, my book, will be fuller when we expand our experience and think about what we observe. First, you can observe with all of your senses: seeing, hearing, smelling, touching, tasting. How does the wind feel? Is it warm and comfortable, or cold and icy, stinging your face and your fingers? Are they frostbitten? Are you nearly thrown off your feet? What does it smell like outside? Is it rain, flowers, or burning rubber? Asphalt. What is the time of day? Is it dawn? Is it afternoon? Middle of the night? Suppose you run into Bigfoot and then run away quickly. Observers always report a horrendous stench, the sound of growling, or smacking tree limbs against trunks. You notice that the ground cover is flattened by giant-sized feet, but you don't wait for any more. Still, listeners will have an idea of the encounter, and it's up to us to wonder whether you've been drinking or smoking something, or that you met a big hairy beast in the woods. Stories are everywhere. Experiences are everywhere. We simply have to pay attention. I delight in discovering the odd things, the goofy stuff, the out of the ordinary things that make stories more interesting. Meeting people who have their own way of speaking, an odd turn of phrase. And I'll never forget a man on the metro in Washington, D.C., for a period of maybe 5 or 6 weeks, who wore a plywood box over his head, the front of which seemed to be fashioned from a motorcycle helmet. It was all attached to a metal frame that sat on his shoulders. He never spoke to anyone, but everybody who looked up noticed him. I'm sure there's a story with that guy. I'd also bet that his windows were covered with aluminum foil, but I have no idea what his job was, nor his name. That's where the writer comes in. You can make it all up. And some of the more fun observations, experiences are brought to us by people who speak too loudly. Yes, Americans. For instance, coffee shops where I've overheard people discussing wedding plans, the menus, the costs, the colors, the upfront fees, the size of the guest list. I witnessed a divorce attorney counseling a woman on what to demand in the settlement. If you are empathetic, you feel terrible for her. This is a tragic moment in her life, or maybe a freeing moment in her life. And the attorney is reminding her what his bill and his retainer will be, and how hostile or not that she should appear in court. And I was once surprised by a very loud conversation of a bail bondsman, possibly hard of hearing, talking with two women at Starbucks about putting up a house for collateral on a $50,000 bail. He was not the compassionate type, but he'd been there before. You might think all kinds of things, such as, first, what did the jail dude do to get locked up? I peeked at the bail bondsman. He was a rather large, muscular man with a business attitude and a booming voice. If you were writing a story, you might surprise yourself by writing that the prisoner and his possible crime, and whether or not he actually did it or not, or was set up, is something you know. When you write, you can make things louder, faster, and funnier. But first, you have to pay attention to the details. Are you paying attention to what's going on around you? Are you paying attention to what is happening in this country right now? It's wild. Take a look at Project 2025. It's horrifying. Take notes. You may need them later. That's all I have for now, and I'll see you next time. Happy writing. Bye.